I want you guys to listen to what Patino had to say after the game to reporters, because I think that it's interesting and it touches on a lot of the stuff that I think we will be talking about when it comes to St. John's.
This is a very average defensive team. They are not locked in like last year. Last year, even Devon, our guards rebounded. And this is not a locked-in defensive team because they're new to each other. And they're going to get it or they're going to continue losing. So it's a matter of wanting to get it, wanting to be a great defensive team. And if they do, they'll get it. If not, they won't. They'll have a long season. I've been through this before. I never thought this was a great team from day one defensively. We have a lot of work to do on defense. We can get there, but it's going to take a different mindset by some of our younger players. That scoring is not the ultimate, that it's defense and you got to buy into it. And we got to make sure our assist turnover ratio is much better.
Rick,
I'm going to put some of that into context for you, Goodman. In 3 games against KenPom top 30 teams so far this season, St. John's is giving up an average of 90.3 points per game. And they're giving up 1.23 points per possession, which, if you would extrapolate that out for an entire season compared to last year, only one team in college basketball gave up more than 1.23 points per possession, and that was Mississippi Valley State. Now, obviously, these are small sample sizes going up against elite teams, blah, 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 whatever. It's a long-winded way of saying St. John's defense has been terrible. We were worried about the point guard spot. Were we worried about the wrong side of the floor when it comes to the point guard spot, Jeff?
Well, first of all, I just want to forewarn. I should have forewarned Justin about your infatuation with KenPom and numbers because this is out of control. I mean, it's absolutely getting out of control. We need to have, honestly, you need to drink. Every time you reference KenPom, you should absolutely drink.
What do you think I've been doing?
Yeah, well,
Evidently.
Man. Evidently.
Numbers can lie.
I will say this. There's multiple issues. I didn't see St. John's tonight, but I saw them the other night. And there's multiple issues here with St. John's. And one of them is a point guard spot. Because if they had a high-level point guard, I think it helps them on both ends of the court. Dylan Darling was a hell of a big sky point guard who I think could be a great backup at St. John's. And he only played 7 minutes tonight because, again, couldn't play in this game. Couldn't guard, and can't really run the team to the level that Rick Pitino wants. My bigger issue is like rebounding. How does this team that plays Zuby, Bryce Hopkins, and Dylan Mitchell, one of the bigger, more athletic, tougher front courts in the entire country, how do they continuously get out rebounded? This is a joke. Like, this team needs to be tougher. And I'm sure Rick is pissed off because, again, the team doesn't quite fit together and they're not playing with honestly, the mental fortitude, the toughness, physical, mental, all of it. They just look like they're out there, honestly, kind of like going for a walk in the park at times. And to me, we'll see if Patino can get this turned around. If anybody can, it is Rick Pitino. They have the players to be able to do it. They have the talent to be able to do it in every area other than the point guard position, which to me limits what they're going to be able to do. Clearly, to me, they're the number 2 team in the Big East. Clearly, they're not. It's UConn, then a big gap. St. John's, then a big gap. Whoever the hell number 3 is.
It might be Seton Hall at this point. Justin, how are you? How much of a red flag is this right now? You know, Dylan Darling played 7 minutes tonight. I don't think Ian Jackson is the answer to the point guard spot, right? We know it's not Oziah Sellers. There was a stretch where Dylan Mitchell was kind of running the point for this group. It's more than just a red flag now. Like, this is a very legitimate concern that you need to have about this group.
Yeah, it's a concern because you can't change it at this point. Like, there's no, we're in the off season and, hey, we need to go get this piece to help with the team that we already have, right? Like, you bring in a guy like Hopkins in the transfer portal. You bring in a guy like Ian Jackson who, can be that microwave off the bench. But it's never a good sign when you're watching the game and your starting point guard is guarding the other starting point guard and commentator says, yeah, there's no way that he's going to be able to stay in front of Pettiford. Like, that's never a good sign. Forget offense. Like, if you're on defense and there's no confidence that the guy that's at basically the head of your defense can't stay in front of the opposing point guard, then there's not much you can really do to it, right? But I think to Jeff's point with the rebounding, another glaring thing for me against an Auburn team who, their biggest guy really is Murphy, and he was in foul trouble the majority of the game. He only played, 22 minutes or so. But St. John's was outscored in the paint 44-30 with Zuby, Hopkins, guys that can get downhill and score in the paint as well. So what does that tell me? That tells me that nobody's keeping the ball in front of them. So now the guards are the ones that are getting to the paint and scoring. And then at the same time, the bigs down low, a guy that we haven't talked about, in Keyshawn Hall for Auburn, dominated really on the inside, right? Obviously, Ejiofor had a good game when it comes to the numbers, but when it comes to the paint, like, it felt like Hall was kind of the guy that was, demanding all the attention inside. So it's tough with St. John's. And then you throw on the fact that St. John's shot 28% from three. Like, it's just not a mix of, winning habits and things to be able to be a winning team. So, but to Jeff's point, if there's a coach that's going to be able to at least scare it into you, it's Rick Pitino.
Yeah. It's hard when you lose the identity of being like one of the toughest and most physical defensive teams in college basketball with all of these big guards that could switch everything. And, your point guard in Kadari Richmond is almost the same size as your 5-man in Zuby Ejiofor, to a team that's more built around scoring and being an offensive threat, but you don't have anyone to go out and set the table. You got a bunch of shooters that can make low percentage shots, but they're low percentage shots for a reason. So you don't have anyone that makes something easy for anybody else, and that is a big problem. And the one thing that Hummel kept saying over and over on the broadcast is like, why won't they get the ball inside the Zuby Ejiofor? Well, it'd be a lot easier to do that if you had a point guard that could kind of get you into the set or get you into the action to be able to get those post touches that you need.